You know that feeling? That sudden, sharp, stabbing pain right under your ribs that feels so intense, so alarming that for a split second you actually wonder if you're having a heart attack. Or maybe for you, it's that heavy, tight, distended feeling where your stomach feels like a hard balloon about to burst, and no matter how you sit, stand, or lie down, you just cannot find relief. It is one of the most physically uncomfortable, socially anxious, and honestly painful experiences we go through, yet we almost never talk about it seriously because we're taught to find it funny or embarrassing. But when you are the one lying curled up in a ball at 2 a.m., clutching your abdomen and praying for the pain to stop, there is absolutely nothing funny about it. If you are dealing with this right now, or if you live in fear of when that bloating will strike next, I want you to know you are in the right place and we are going to fix this together. Before we dive into the deep science of why this is happening and exactly how to stop it, if you find these deep dives into your health helpful, please take a second to join our community here. It really helps me continue to bring you this level of medical detail. Now, I want to be very clear with you from the start. Everything I am about to share is grounded in clinical gastroenterology and physiology. And while this information is based on standards from top institutions like the Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins, always check with your own healthcare provider for your specific needs. And you can find a list of all the medical sources I've used down in the description if you want to verify them yourself. To solve this problem, we have to stop looking at gas as just a nuisance and start understanding it as a dynamic, living system inside you that has gotten out of balance. So, believe it or not, a completely healthy person produces anywhere from 1 to 4 pints of gas every single day and passes it roughly 14 to 25 times a day, which surprises most of my patients. This gas isn't just air floating around. It is a complex mixture of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, and methane that is constantly being produced, absorbed, and expelled. The pain you feel usually isn't because you have more gas than everyone else, but rather because of where that gas is trapped and how your unique nervous system is perceiving it. And we call this visceral hypersensitivity, which is a fancy way of saying the nerves in your gut have the volume turned up way too high. Imagine your intestine is a balloon. For some people, inflating it halfway feels fine, but for you, that same amount of inflation triggers an alarm bell in your brain that screams pain and danger, causing your abdominal muscles to tighten up, essentially trying to protect you, which ironically traps the gas even more. Let's look at exactly where this gas gets stuck, because understanding your anatomy is the first step to untying these knots. Your colon is not a straight pipe. It has twists and turns, and there are two specific corners where gas loves to get trapped, acting almost like a kink in a garden hose. The first one is up high on your right side, tucked right under your liver, called the hepatic flexure, and when gas gets stuck here, it pushes up against the liver and gallbladder, often mimicking the pain of gallstones. But the bigger culprit, the one that mimics a heart attack and sends people to the emergency room in a panic, is on your left side, way up high under your rib cage, called the splenic flexure. This is the highest point in your colon. And because gas is lighter than solid liquid waste, it naturally floats up to this peak and gets trapped there, unable to move down against gravity. This causes intense pressure that radiates upward into your chest, your left shoulder, and sometimes even your neck, which is why it is terrifyingly easy to mistake for heart pain. Now, where is all this gas coming from in the first place? We often blame the food we just ate, but there are actually two distinct factories producing this gas, and knowing which one is active tells you how to treat it. The first factory is right at your mouth, caused by aerophagia or swallowing air. Every time you eat too fast, chew gum, drink through a straw, or even sigh deeply when you're stressed, you are swallowing nitrogen-rich air that your body cannot easily absorb. So it has to travel the entire 25 feet of your digestive tract to get out. The second, and often more problematic factory, is located deep in your large intestine, where trillions of bacteria are hard at work. This is where we have to talk about fermentation. When you eat complex carbohydrates, Things like fiber, beans, or even certain healthy vegetables, your human body actually cannot digest them on its own, so they pass undigested into the colon where your gut bacteria feast on them. As these bacteria break down the food, they release metabolic gases like hydrogen and methane as a byproduct, similar to how yeast makes bread dough rise. This bacterial fermentation is a normal, healthy process that creates energy for your colon cells, but it goes wrong when you have an imbalance in the type of bacteria or where they are living. This brings us to a condition you might have heard of called SIBO, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Normally, your small intestine should be relatively clean, flowing fast like a mountain stream. But if bacteria from the colon migrate upwards and set up camp where they don't belong, they start fermenting food way too early. Right after you eat, if you notice that you get bloated within 30 to 90 minutes of eating, that is a classic sign of SIBO because the food hasn't even reached the colon yet. Depending on which bacteria have overgrown, they might produce hydrogen gas, which tends to cause diarrhea and fast digestion, or they might produce methane gas. Methane is fascinating and frustrating because it acts like a paralytic to your gut nerves, slowing down motility and causing severe constipation, which creates a vicious cycle. You're constipated, so gas can't escape, and the gas itself is making you more constipated. So, what do we do about this? How do we turn off the gas factories and release the pressure? We are going to tackle this with a three-layered approach: dietary, physical, and pharmaceutical. First, let's talk about the fuel you are putting into the fire. You don't necessarily need to cut out all fiber forever, but you need to understand FODMAPs. These are specific types of carbohydrates, fermentable sugars found in wheat, onions, garlic, dairy, and certain fruits that absorb water like a sponge and ferment rapidly. The trick here is to avoid FODMAP stacking. You might be able to handle a little bit of onion, and you might be able to handle a little bit of gluten, but if you have a bowl of pasta with garlic sauce and an apple for dessert, you've just stacked 3 different fermentation triggers on top of each other, exceeding your gut's threshold. For the next few days, try simplifying your meals to low fermentation foods like rice, potatoes, grilled chicken, or fish, and give your bacterial factory a chance to quiet down. Now let's move to the immediate physical relief, because when you are in pain, you need help now. The most effective tool you have is mechanical, because gas is a bubble and bubbles need to move. I want you to try the ILU massage. It stands for I love you, not just to be cute, but because it traces the shape of your colon. You start on your right hip and rub up to your ribs, the I, then go across your belly to the left ribs, the L, and finally down to your left hip, the U. You are literally manually pushing the gas bubbles along the path of the colon towards the exit. Combine this massage with a specific position called the wind-relieving pose, or Pawan Muktasana. Lie on your back and hug your knees tightly into your chest, maybe rocking gently side to side. What this does is physically compress the abdomen and change the angle of the rectum, straightening out the exit path and forcing that trapped air in the splenic flexure to move down. It is simple, it is free, and it is incredibly effective. Breathing is your next secret weapon. Most of us breathe shallowly into our chests when we are in pain, which signals stress to the body and tightens the gut. I want you to practice diaphragmatic breathing. Put one hand on your belly and inhale deeply so that only your belly rises, like a balloon inflating. This motion physically massages your intestines from the inside with your diaphragm and stimulates the vagus nerve, which switches your body from fight or flight to rest and digest, relaxing the cramping muscles that are trapping the gas. If you need a little extra help from your medicine cabinet, let's talk about what actually works. You have probably seen simethicone found in Gas X, and it's important to know that this doesn't stop gas from forming. It is a surfactant, which means it changes the surface tension of the bubbles. It takes all those thousands of tiny, frothy bubbles that are stuck in your mucus and combines them into one big bubble. It sounds counterintuitive, but one big bubble is much easier to burp or pass than 1,000 tiny ones. For the pain and cramping specifically, peppermint oil is a powerhouse. The menthol in peppermint acts as a natural calcium channel blocker, What does that mean? It means it blocks calcium from entering the muscle cells of your intestine, which prevents them from contracting. It literally forces the gut muscles to relax and stop spasming. Just make sure you get enteric-coated capsules so they dissolve in your bowel, not in your stomach. Otherwise, you might get heartburn. Another fantastic natural prokinetic, which means something that keeps things moving, is ginger. If your gas is caused by food sitting in your stomach too long and fermenting there, ginger helps empty the stomach faster. Sweeping the food into the small intestine before gas can build up, a strong cup of ginger tea made from fresh root, not just a flavored bag, can be a game changer for that upper abdominal bloating. Finally, never underestimate the power of heat. A simple hot water bottle or heating pad placed on your abdomen works by opening up blood vessels and increasing circulation, which helps wash away pain signaling chemicals and physically relaxes the cramped muscles. It's a primitive remedy, but biologically it works by closing the gate to pain signals in your spinal cord. So here's your game plan for the next time the pain hits. Don't panic. Lie down on your left side or hug your knees to your chest. Apply heat and practice that deep belly breathing to calm your nervous system. And if you are prone to this, start looking at your diet for those FODMAP triggers and consider adding ginger or peppermint to your routine. You do not have to live in fear of your own digestion. Your body is resilient, and with the right tools, you can get that balance back. If you found this helpful, please share it with someone who might be suffering in silence. You never know how much relief you might bring them. Stay healthy, listen to your gut, and I'll see you in the next video.